In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to set up a basic LEMP stack. So the initialism is LEMP, as opposed to the usual LAMP for LAMP, where LAMP is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. In our case, LEMP stands for, L for Linux, in our case Ubuntu, E for Nginx, M for MariaDB, and P for PHP. So MariaDB is a drop-in replacement for MySQL, so to connect it to PHP, we can just use the PHP MySQL package. So we'll install that now, sudo apt-get install php5 MySQL. And once this installs, we'll edit the php5 fastCGI process manager or FPM configuration to make sure it's using our php5 FPM socket. So let's do sudo vim ets php5 fpm pool.d www.conf. And we'll search for listen equals space equals. We want to make sure that this is running exactly as it's shown here. So this php5-fpm.sock. Now, you can specify a particular IP address and port number to use to accept fastCGI requests on, but in this case, we just want this Unix socket specified here. So this is a good value to check. I prefer to have it here as php5 fpm sock. You could also change it to an IP address and port number. So now that we've verified this, let's verify our Nginx configuration. Now we'll go to sudo vim ets nginx. Oh, I need a space here. Nginx sites available, and we'll edit the default configuration. So we'll go down. We want to leave a lot of this to the same. Our root for our web server is var www default, where since we're using PHP, this index, we want the default file. So if there's no file specified, when loading the site, we want the default to be index.php as opposed to index.html or HTML. The server name, we're just running it on localhost. We could change this to a different domain name if we're putting it somewhere like some website.com. But since we're just running from localhost, we'll leave that as is. We'll leave the location and all these other configurations the same until we get to the PHP section. So the current install of Nginx has this location with the PHP designation. So this is saying that in all locations, anything that ends in .php, we want to put through this fastCGI process. So actually, it's not that one. So there's fastCGI pass. We want to keep that commented out. So this way, we're, as I mentioned with the previous setting where you have an IP address and a port number, but in our case we have a Unix sock, so we want to remove these comments all the way to the bottom. So we have our fastCGI pass, our fastCGI index, index.php, and we have our fastCGI params. So these are the standard parameters or server parameters that are used by CGI passed to it by the web server, in this case Nginx. So this is all we need to uncomment to have Nginx pass off any PHP files to the fastCGI, the php5 fpm. Alright, now we can save this and quit out, and then we restart the service. So sudo service nginx restart. And now we need to connect MariaDB. So we'll do MySQL to launch MariaDB because it's a drop-in replacement. And I'm going to log in as root, which I've set up a password for. Now we're connected to MariaDB. I'm going to create a database, create database lemp test. Now create user. I'm going to call this user PHP user. And it's a localhost user, so at localhost. So this user can only connect from the local computer, identified by some password. Now I can put in some random password, and I'm going to copy this text so I can paste it into my PHP file. Copy. And now I need to give this user permissions. So you can't just create a user and be done with it. It needs permissions on our LEMP test database that we've created. So I'm going to grant some selective permissions. Select, insert, update, delete. So I'm going to leave some things like, or omit things like dropping or granting privileges or creating users or creating or dropping databases. My recommendation is that your user connecting from PHP, since it's open to the web, should have somewhat more limited access to your database. And usually select, insert, update, delete will do. In some other cases, people recommend, or tutorials recommend, grant all privileges. I prefer not to do that. So select, insert, update, delete covers 99% of your cases from PHP. Okay, that diversion aside, let's finish this off. So grant, select, insert, update, delete on the database name lemp_test.star, which means all tables, to PHP user at localhost. And now we can flush privileges and quit out. Now let's go into our index.php, which I've already created. So vim var www default/index.php. So this is the file that's going to be served by Nginx and processed by our PHP FPM. So we're connecting MySQLi, so we're connecting to the database on localhost with PHP user, and I'm going to insert the password that I created for this user on this database server, and then I'm going to echo out a selectDB returned. So this selectDB call on our database object to LEMP test, so if it can connect, it'll return true. If not, it'll return false or 1 or 0. And then at the end, we'll close the connection. So let me just write this and quit out. Now that's everything. We should be able to open up our browser, browse to localhost, and it should process that index.php and make that connection to the Maria database. SelectDB returned 1 for true. So the connection was fine, and we know now that everything has been configured correctly. And that concludes this introduction to setting up a basic LEMP stack.